Thank you for your patience.
Not at all, Sajid. It's good to be here.
No, thank you so
good to
much.
be
This is
here.
behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah.
So we were just briefly off camera talking about the Mo Amin Foundation and how you actually had this whole program that teaches people everything to do with film from start to finish. And one of the first things you teach them is?
Oh, it's be on time, first of all. It's be on time.
Yeah.
Make sure that you are there well before the client.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if a client is late.
Yes.
You know, and then my
there's
dad used to say, how do you spell client? Is G-O-D.
Thank you.
Because without clients, see, because without clients, you're nothing. Can be as good as you want, but if you don't have reliability,
Yes.
that's why we've been around for 64 years.
But you're not doing the course anymore, right? It was sort
No, the foundation ran for 26 years doing training.
Wow.
And we would, you know, I would like to say we were the best training institute on the continent. We even trained people from outside of Africa that came to our school to learn. And it was a very, very hands-on course.
Right.
Started with film, actual 16mm film.
So what's 16mm film? That's
16mm is the reels, the film reels.
Okay.
So we started, you know, training with that, moving them onto tape. It was almost 3 or 4 months before they even touched anything digital, because the idea was that they should learn how stories are made. You know, when you had film or you had tape, you only had a limited amount of content.
Correct.
So you had to think about your story.
Everything is very specific.
You had to think about sequences. You had to think about what you're going to, before you started shooting, you had to think. And you had to build the story in your head, because now it's just shoot.
Because
shoot and we'll figure it out afterwards. But, you know, the best camera people, the best editors are the ones that worked on film, because they understood, you know, that quantity is not necessarily quality. And what do you do with all, you know, if you go and shoot 10 hours of content for a 5-minute piece, then, you know, you're wasting the editor's time.
Yes.
Someone has to look through everything, has to log everything,
yes,
has to store everything.
Okay.
You know, you need server space, you need hard drives, you need to put, you know, it's pointless.
Okay, so for example, if there's a scene you want to shoot, it's a 5-minute scene, or maybe someone sitting down and just doing something. How do you plan for that? Do you do storyboards beforehand?
No, we don't. I mean, the people that we shoot with and the producers that are there, they know exactly what they
but how
need.
would you approach it? Like
they would need, you know, you would do the standard, you know, tight, medium, wide shots of the same thing, then close-ups of things on the desk, interesting items, hands moving, you know, and then you would make sure you got every angle of that space, so that you're able to edit it properly afterwards.
And you were mentioning also, when we were speaking offline, is that a lot of the alumni ended up going to...
they're some of the best trained alumni, and they were our ambassadors.
Right.
You know, so they went to Hollywood, some went to Bollywood, some went to Nigeria. Others have, you know, started TV channels like NTV, and others. They were the pioneers in those stations, because they were really, really good.
And it wasn't something that they had to pay for. It was a philanthropic...
It was the foundation is a foundation, so we are a not-for-profit organization, and so we got scholarships. We spent a lot of our time going out and finding scholarships for the students. So whether it was Bloomberg or the BBC or CNN or Al Jazeera or Reuters, they all gave us scholarships. And then part of the scholarship was that their student, and they took part in the interview process as well. Their student would then go and spend 3 or 4 months with them afterwards as interns. And 90% of the time, they ended up employing their students.
Okay.
If the student wanted to stay with them or wanted to do their own things. Ironically, many of them went on to start their own production companies. So in a way, they became competitors to us, you know, which was, you know, nice in a way. But all the crews that I use now for our documentaries, for our work, are all ex-foundation graduates.
Okay.
So they don't work for me, they're freelancers, but they're the only people that we will use, because I know the quality that they bring.
Right. And there's familiarity in the teachings as well. And you can...
Well, we know the discipline, they know what is expected of them, they understand the kind of quality that we expect of them. They are, the work ethic that we have. You can't in Europe and America. You can sit and say, "Oh, I only work from 9 to 5, and then there's overtime," and that doesn't work like that here.
Yeah.
Here you have to accommodate your clients. So sometimes we do 17, 18-hour days.
Jesus.
And we don't charge the client anymore, but the same clients come back year after year after year.
Yeah, which I find very weird because it's a segue. I recently did a podcast with a screenwriter, Morrison Modulo. I'm trying to get a film made, and we were looking at the cost elements of it. And what he mentioned was, traditionally people used to pay by hour, but then that changed in Kenya, and people get paid by day. Now, the thing is, a day doesn't mean 9 to 5. And in fact, case in point, one of the actors, George Moore, who we were working with, he was supposed to be done by 5. But his scenes didn't start till 5. So he was there till 9 at night. But it's a fixed flat rate.
Yeah.
So with me, who comes for the per hour consulting, it's a very different industry as well, right?
Yeah.
Really different dynamic. I'm not sure what your take is on that.
Well, look, I don't think it's fair,
Yeah.
to be honest. And a lot of our international clients will agree. They will say, listen, if we shoot over after 6 p.m., then it's another half day or whatever, and we'll pay for another half day.
Okay.
They understand because they work with unionized labor in the countries they come from.
Yeah.
So I think that then of course we pass on that half day to the cameraman or the operator or whatever, and so I think that is a fair system. But there are many that what they like is the fact that we're not clock watching.
Right.
We're not sitting there saying, "Oh, it's 5 o'clock now. Sorry, I'm packing up and going home." They know that we will work till midnight if we have to work, and then we'll sort it out later.
Yeah. Okay.
And we don't demand, because our crews have been to some of the most dangerous places on earth. They've seen the hardest, toughest conditions that you can see. So they don't care, "Oh, we don't have a 5-star hotel. Oh, we didn't get lunch. We didn't get food today. We didn't get this, that." When the client eats, we expect them to feed us as well. And they do. But we don't bitch and moan about, "Oh, it's lunchtime now, it's tea time now, we need to take a break." That doesn't work, and that clients appreciate that.
Because work,
because the work ethic is there. I mean, and this is all from Dad's time. This is all from his time, because he worked from 2 a.m. to 7, 8 o'clock at night. And that was his day.
And now that you've brought up Dad, I just want to read what I found online, because Mohamed Amin, was a Kenyan photojournalist. He became one of the most relied upon African news photographers, reporting on wars and coups all throughout the continent. And his pictures were often used by Western news media. Most notably was his moment in time when he worked along Michael Berg's reporting of the 1984 Ethiopian famine, which brought international attention to the crisis and eventually helped start the charity wave that resulted in the Live Aid concept. Now, I want to go back in time, because photography media, especially for our Punjabi culture, is a completely different wave. How did Dad get into it? And he was born in Isli, apparently,
yes,
right?
He was born in Isli.
Yeah.
And then but he was brought up in Tanzania, because my grandfather was transferred to build a railway in Dar.
So the same.
So the railway family. So while he was born in here, he grew up in Dar.
Okay.
And I guess just he picked up a camera. He borrowed a camera from a friend whose father had a camera. I mean, they're a very poor family, and even the school was it was very, not many people had cameras. But he borrowed this camera and he started. It was. I think he realized he had a knack for it.
Yeah.
But he also realized that in those days, the schools that they went to didn't allow photographers to come in, outside photographers to come in and photograph school events, like sports days, plays, dramas, that sort of stuff. So what he realized is that he could go and photograph, being a student, he could photograph these events and then go and sell the images to the newspapers.
Really?
And that's basically, so he saw this as a way of making a bit of extra money for himself. So that's kind of how he started. And he taught himself to go in to build his own little dark room in the school. and started processing his own film and doing all of that stuff.
But I actually forgot about that. Do you guys remember the dark, like in movies?
Yeah,
you
the
see,
darkroom. Yes. So that was how it was. I mean, there was no digital stuff, so you had to, buy your film, process your film, go through the whole washing process and chemicals and everything, and then you had your prints, and that's what you went and delivered to the newspapers.
It's such a change from the wedding photographers you see today compared to the wedding photographers before.
Now, I mean, while you're standing, you enter an event and they take your photo, and by the time you leave the event, they've got your picture framed and, trying to sell it to you and, make it, which good for them. They have to make a buck. I mean, that's a good way to do it. But the fact that you can do that in the space of 1 hour or 1.5 hours, it's the beauty of technology.
True.
Today.
So Dad comes back to Kenya.
So, well, he was in Tanzania until he was deported from Tanzania. So he was kicked out of Tanzania.
Why?
So he filmed the only evidence of the Soviets building a missile base on Zanzibar.
Get the fuck out of here.
So he filmed that, and he was 21 years old at the time. So he filmed this. It was world exclusive. And that footage was used by Kennedy to negotiate with Khrushchev on the Cuban Missile Crisis.
What?
So the KGB then picked him up because they found out who had shot that film. So the KGB then picked him up when he went back to Zanzibar, and to cover a visit by Nasser, the Egyptian president. And so they picked him up at the airport and they put him in Kilimamiko prison for a month. So he was tortured for a month.
Dad was tortured for a month.
Yeah, in Kilimamiko, he was beaten, tortured.
How old is he?
21 at this time, and it's because of that footage. And then the only condition of his release, there was pressure from international clients that he used to work for, like CBS and others. And then he was released, but on the condition that he would be kicked out of Tanzania. That was the deal that Karume and Nyerere done.
So this was during the Cold War.
This is now at the height of the Cold War. This is the Cuban Missile Crisis.
So they were actually building a missile silo in Zanzibar.
They were training. There was Russian and East German advisors training Zanzibari soldiers, and they were denying that they had any. Involvement in East Africa, that they were building anything.
Actually, you know what? I'm not sure if did any of you guys know about this, but there's a game called Metal Gear Solid. I think during the Cuban Missile Crisis, there's something about Big Boss being in Zanzibar or in Africa, where to curb this. That's actually interesting.
Yeah, and the rumor is that his torturer was Putin, because Putin was a teenager.
He was at the KGB at that time.
He was a teenager.
Yes.
He would have been 17, 18, 19 years old at this time, I think. And maybe a little bit younger. So maybe he hadn't come. But his first posting was in Africa with the KGB.
Wow.
So, maybe it was, maybe it wasn't.
Yes,
I don't know.
You never know, right?
But yeah, he was beaten and tortured for a month.
And how was his family at that time?
So, and they were all trying to get him out. My grandfather, by this time, grandparents had gone back to what was then Pakistan, so they had gone back. So it was really my mom, and they were not married yet, but she was looking after his office on Dar.
Okay.
So they were all sort of lobbying to get him free. And then the condition was that he lost 28 pounds in weight in 30 days. In Kilimamiko, and then he was deported and came, but they couldn't kick him out of Kenya, even though it was East African community, because he was born here. They had to let him back in.
Did you ever have the kind of relationship with Dad where he would talk to you about these things and what happened?
I mean, well, we didn't really have enough time together.
Yeah.
There was not enough time.
I
knew all the stories.
You were quite young when he...
I was 24, 25 when he died.
Okay.
But he was on the road constantly. So we never really had the time to talk about it. I knew all the stories.
Which is an interesting dynamic. So, obviously now he's come back he's now in Kenya, right? And obviously he's still got the itch for photography.
Well, yeah, I mean, this was his kind of, many people might have just quit after that and done something else, but it didn't deter him at all. So he then had to set up here, but it was a new country, new environment, different competition. They were already established, photographers, photojournalists here.
Yeah.
But then he got his first world exclusive from Kenya was the assassination of Tom Mboya in 1969. So his office was just above the chemist where Mboya was shot. So he was downstairs in like 3 minutes with his cameras and everything, and he photographed and filmed them trying to revive Mboya in the chemist, went into the ambulance with them, photographed and filmed the ride to the hospital, them trying to revive him and resuscitate him and keep him alive. And then the whole aftermath, the funeral, that was nobody in the world has those images.
Those were just exclusively taken by
nobody else in the world.
Do you still have a lot of these photos that he's taken?
Everything.
Okay, that's interesting because, I mean, so you that means you've digitized them right now?
No, we haven't digitized all of them, but we have about 8.5 million images and about 25,000 hours of video.
8.5 million images.
That's the estimate. It could be as many as 12 million.
So there must be some hidden gems over there that you haven't
still
even discovered.
Discovering. We're still looking. They're all negative slides, so we've never gone through everything.
Recently, have you had a moment where you've gone through a photo and you've seen something that you're like, what the hell? Did that actually show?
Yeah, I mean, we'd find it all the time, whether it's, Mozambique and Frelimo and the Civil War, whether it's Biafra, whether it's Bukasa's coronation, whether it's new stuff of Idi Amin, the Asian exodus, expelling of the Asians from Uganda, all sorts of stuff that we found.
Dad was also heavily involved in the Idi Amin, documenting the Idi Amin downfall.
Yeah, he was
right?
the only photographer that Idi allowed in and out of Uganda.
Really?
Throughout his time.
So did
he had some sort of a rapport. So Idi liked him I think because they had the same last name. So Idi liked him for some reason and allowed him to come in and out. He photographed executions, firing squads, all sorts of stuff. And then he did the only interviews with Idi when he fled to Saudi Arabia. He found him in Saudi and he did the only interviews with Idi after he had fled.
So Idi Amin had passed away then in Saudi Arabia?
He fled from Uganda when he was overthrown to Saudi, but then he died in Saudi Arabia. Yeah, not too long, maybe like 10 years ago.
And Dad got the exclusive.
But he got in the exclusive interviews. He was the first one who found him literally after he fled, a few months after he fled, he found him in Saudi.
These pictures of these executions and stuff, Dad, this is all stuff you have.
We have everything. Everything is here.
When you go through them, some of these things, they're quite graphic. Do you think that affects who Dad was because he was exposed or he was exposed
again, I don't think nowadays you have PTSD. That didn't exist. That term didn't exist back then. Now you have PTSD is a big deal now.
Very big.
And you can get help for it. You can get, a
psychiatric help,
for it. There's mental health is a big issue.
It's more than it needs to be, right? Yeah.
Sorry? Back then it wasn't. People just got on with
have a coffee, light a cigarette, and let's go. Yeah.
And that's how they lived their life. And so I don't think he lived long enough to have the effects of PTSD. I'm sure he had it, but I don't think he lived long enough to see the effects of it. He was only 52 when he died.
So obviously his standout moment came from reporting about the famine in Ethiopia.
Yeah.
But while doing that, he actually lost his arm.
No, the Ethiopian famine was in 84.
Okay.
And he lost his arm in 91.
91, yes.
So that was the aftermath. The end result of the famine was the overthrow of Mengistu, who was the dictator at the time. And that was the fall of Addis in 91. So that came sort of 8 years after the famine was exposed.
Yeah, which is also what I was getting to. Is a man loses his arm. He's like, fuck it. He gets that. He gets what we call the
myoelectric arm, yes.
Arm. And he continues shooting. And there's a
famous his passion.
There's a famous picture of him holding the camera, which we'll put up over here as well. And that's just the mentality he had.
Yeah.
There was no, as you're saying, there's no therapy classes.
No. He just wanted to get on with it.
He just wanted to get on with it.
Yeah, he just wanted to get on with it.
How did that exposure happen in Ethiopia? Like, because it blew out, man. I've seen at the back over here, there's records that was made. Is it that song where
We Are the World?
We Are the
There
World.
was Band-Aid as well. There was
that resulted from
that
this.
was all from his images. There would have been no Band-Aid or Live Aid or We Are the World had he not shot those images and not managed to make it to northern Ethiopia to record it at a time when they were not allowing journalists and stuff in, because Mengistu was using food as a weapon to weaken the rebel armies that were from the north.
And so how did Dad manage to get into Ethiopia?
So, I mean, he had a lot of contacts. He had a lot of experience. He had a lot of people that owed him favors there. So, he maneuvered and managed to make it to northern Ethiopia. And these were days when there was not mobile phones. There was no drones or satellite technology and stuff like that. So, in a way, it was also easier to evade governments. Rather than today where they can track you
and everything
all the time. But it was also much more difficult to get there and get out.
And I'm assuming as a family, though, even like trying to find out where he is, no mobile phone,
no, you couldn't.
WhatsApp.
I mean, but in those days, you didn't expect that. You'd be lucky if you got a fax once in a while, or, but you didn't expect phone calls, or you didn't expect, that kind of communication. It just wasn't there.
Right.
When we used to go out and go out at night or go for dinner or go to a club or whatever, our parents didn't expect us to make phone calls. They couldn't find us.
No.
So we just figured out how to get where we were, and we were all fine.
So there's a colleague of mine, industry colleague, his wife, when we're in conferences, literally calls him and says, "Okay, now show me the room.
Yeah,
show me."
So this is
this guy's a dog.
Yeah. So
his wife is like literally showing the room.
So this is the downside of technology.
Yeah.
And also the fact that people expect instant responses to messages and things like that. In those days, it wasn't. So actually, you could get a lot more work done. True. Because you didn't have this pressure of looking at your phone all the time.
This is such a big distraction.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you've done it, by you on TikTok or Instagram.
Yeah. I mean,
do you ever go through those things where you're just looking at videos, scrolling
for hours and hours,
Yeah, man.
And you don't realize the time is gone. You don't know. I mean, it's a waste of time. Really, it is a waste of time, because the chances are you won't learn a lot.
So something that also surprised me in Dad's exploits was he also covered the Palestinian Black September uprising that wanted to seize control of Jordan. This was in about, I think, 1970.
Yes.
I'm not familiar with the blacks. Obviously, there's the Palestinian history, but Black September.
I'm not too familiar with. I know that the PLO was training in Jordan a lot of the time. They wanted the Jordanian government to do more, or the kingdom to do more for Palestine.
Yeah.
So what we're seeing in Gaza today, it's not something that started on October 7th. This has been going on for
decades. And the thing is, Dad could blend in.
Yes.
And he was able to move in because Western journalists were not allowed because you stand out, right? But Dad was able to capture all this stuff.
Absolutely. And so he covered the Middle East. So not just Africa. Our archive covers 92 countries.
Out of curiosity, in 1970s, we were doing flights to all these places.
It seems that way. I mean, again, it's also baffles us how we got to all of these places in time for these big stories.
Yeah.
And but somehow they managed. I mean, there were flights, probably had to go via Europe or via somewhere else or whatever.
I'm not sure if you guys have seen the pictures of the old flights, but apparently air transport has diminished. It's not diminished in a sense, but it used to be very luxurious.
Oh yeah.
They fork and knife, champagne, butter scoops, people smoking cigarettes.
Yeah. It was a good living because it was also very expensive.
Very expensive
at that time. So it was only a few people that could afford it.
I actually remember as a kid when I think it was Papa or someone was going. This was maybe 90s. Yeah, we would all go to the airport. He was just going to Japan to look for a source of engine, but the whole family is there.
Yeah, you go and you stand at the tower and watch the planes go up to takeoff.
Yeah.
Now you can't even get to the parking lot anymore. Because it's all the security and everything. And unfortunately, 9/11 changed all that.
It made it 10 times worse.
Yeah, it made it.
I keep complaining about the JKIA thing. I think we have 3 checks. It's completely unnecessary. The first one is you have to go and get out at the main entrance, which is outside the airport. The second one is at the entrance. And the third one upstairs. I'm like, guys, come on.
It's the most useless airport, one of the most useless airports in the world.
We can be more efficient at it. But I heard there's plans to expand, but anyway, that's completely
different
separate.
Story.
So, bro, so the other thing I saw was that actually got you personally quite a lot of recognition was the documentary you did on that.
Mo
Amin and Me. I want to focus on you because you obviously came into the same industry as he did. So he was obviously a big influence. But what was the decision? Were you in your teens saying that this is what I want to do?
I just wanted to do this all the time. I started shooting when I was about 8 years old.
Wow.
So I used to go and cover the Safari Rally with him. So that was my introduction into photography.
Right.
And so when I was 8, I was published in Time magazine when I was 10. My photos
were
were
published in Time
magazine. In Time magazine. They didn't know it was a 10-year-old. It was submitted by.
Do you have that picture? Can you share that?
I should have it somewhere.
Yeah,
but it wasn't my byline. It was his byline as well.
But your picture.
It was a Camerapix byline. Actually, it wasn't a name.
Yeah.
But it was a picture of Joginder Singh in the S350 going through a water thing. But since then. I had the bug that this is all I ever wanted to do. And he didn't want me to do this. He was like, this is not a profession that is, conducive to your health and everything else. Better you do, something else, become a doctor, a lawyer, accountant, something like that. So he wasn't very keen
on it,
on me doing it. But it's all I ever wanted to do. And so he didn't have a lot of choice. And for 10 years I covered the rally with him until I went off to university and then did my degree in journalism.
Okay.
And came back, and then my first assignment was Somalia in 1992. The Americans had just come. It was Restore Hope. Yeah, Black Hawk Down. And all that. So we spent about 18 months in Somalia. On and off.
18 months in Somalia?
I mean, we'd do 3 weeks on, 1 week off for that. Then we were the first cruise into Rwanda in 94 for the genocide. So we went in for the genocide. We were there for like 7-8 months covering that.
So maybe just to back, sorry to interject. So with Somalia, this is now when that whole the attacks happened, correct?
Yes.
So you were covering that as it happened.
Yeah, we were there. We have all the content. I mean, we have again the definitive archive.
Was that your first experience to a war zone?
Yeah, well, it was my first proper one. I'd been to a couple, like Ethiopia and a couple other places, but that was the first big one.
How was your feeling?
So no, it was tough. It was a tough job to do, especially because we lost, a lot of our colleagues were killed there. Dan Eldon, Osmina, Anthony Masharia. So people that worked with us very closely were killed while covering that. And then Rwanda was a game changer. It was even worse.
Because I went to
the genocide and everything was terrible.
So you actually got to see.
Yeah, we were filmed. We used to stay at the Mille Collines Hotel, which became Hotel Rwanda in the film.
Yeah,
we stayed there, and then the Interarmée would come and get us every morning and take us to the places where they were going to massacre people and made us film it.
How many people were killed overnight? 100?
I mean, no, it was 1 million people in the space of 100 days.
So it was very surprising for me because I went to Kigali, and the first thing I noticed is very well structured, very small economy, but everyone behaves. I mean, today just to get from fucking 2 rivers to here, if there's no traffic, you're here in 10, 12 minutes. All right.
With traffic could be a couple
1
hours.
hour. Borders going here, buses going here, there.
There's no discipline here.
In Kigali, like border stops at the light.
Yeah.
And then you see the way the cops behave. You see the way the citizens behave. And one of the things we were told is when you go over there, don't say anything anti-government. Because you realize Kigali is run by an iron fist. Rwanda as general. Yeah. And they had to keep it that way because in 1994, whatever happened, I mean, we said over 1 million people in 100 days. Think about that. Think about how insane that is, where you're actually killing people, innocent people, just slaughtering them, and people that have lived together.
Yes.
Just because
the scary part is it shows what we're capable of as human beings. See, when you're threatened or you're indoctrinated to feel that this person or these people are a threat to you and your family, and they will kill you unless you kill them. Our human nature is such that we're capable of the most awful things if we feel threatened.
So did you see these mass graves?
Oh, yeah, we saw all these. We saw everything. We
Kids,
filmed it.
people.
We filmed everything. People being beheaded, people being shot, people being macheted to death, people being, set in the church and put on fire.
I heard about the stadium as well, where they gathered a lot of people
killed all
and
these people. So this is, and it'll happen again. Sadly, it will happen again. Rwanda is not. It's not over. You can't. Those that survive can't forget that. The ones that survived, whose families were killed but they were left alive, no matter how many years or decades go past, they can't forget that. And that's the scary thing, is that, and we almost got to that here in 2008.
We did, yeah.
Post-election violence.
Yeah.
We almost got to that point because we didn't understand how close we were to getting to that. And it can happen. It can happen in any country that has this tribal politics, that has, where they're trying to, where you try and pit one group against another group because of your own political ambitions. It's a very dangerous thing to do because there is that, decades, if not centuries old, animosity between
which stems
certain
from
people. And it's not just in Africa.
It's everywhere.
This is in Asia, this
South
is
America.
South America, all
it's happening
places.
All over the place.
Now it's happening, even amongst white people, whether it's, Christians and Protestants and this and that, the IRA, all of that. It happens everywhere.
Yes.
It's not just it's not a purely African issue or an African problem. And unfortunately, the rest of the world tries to make it seem like
it's that.
We're the only ones that are barbarians. But actually, European and American history is far more brutal than anything we've ever done.
Yeah.
Far more brutal than anything we've ever done.
In the southern states, the shit that you see, the museums
Civil War
of the
in the
Civil
U.S.
War.
Was horrible. The French Revolution, the Spanish Inquisition, all of these things killed millions of people. The First World War, Second World War, these were not us. It wasn't Africans fighting. It wasn't Asians fighting. I mean, yes, they recruited a lot of African and Indian troops, to fight for them. But this was a war amongst the Europeans.
How old were you when you went to Kigali?
I must have been 25.
Bro, seeing all those things at that
24.
age.
No, 23. 23, actually, yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Yes.
Have you, throughout the years of doing all this, have you ever seen something that made you actually just put everything down and be like,
I need a break.
Yeah. I mean, well, in Rwanda, we, that was what made me stop doing hard news. I told my dad when we came back from that assignment, I no longer want to do hard news anymore. He couldn't understand it, couldn't fathom it. We had many an argument about it. But luckily he had just started Africa Journal as a magazine show. And that was what I then put my energy into. And, was telling positive stories about the continent. So, there were times when, after Rwanda especially, I realized I don't want to do this. There's no gratitude, first of all, from the people that you're trying to tell stories. There's no gratitude at all. Somalia showed that to us, the people that we were trying to help and tell their stories to, ended up killing those journalists. And so news just didn't do it for me anymore.
Do you think it affected your ability to sleep comfortably at night for a while, at least?
Well, I think, for a while, yes. But I think I was fortunate that I didn't do this for, 20 years or 15 years and do one conflict after another. But I know many of my colleagues and friends are not in good spaces because of what they've seen.
What I'll tell you is, I think it's worth visiting Kigali. Tourism side as well, they've done an amazing job. Gorillas, right?
Yeah, the gorillas there, they've done an amazing job. But again, it's a small country, so you can do these things like a little sort of Singapore
correct.
type of country. But, the test is going to be in the succession.
That's
what
true.
is going to happen once there's no more Kagame.
What
What is
happens
going to
after
happen to
that?
the country? And if there's no plan, then there's a real danger that it'll slip back because they haven't solved the problems of not just 1984, but what happened prior to 1984. The animosity between the different tribes and the Tutsis and the Hutus. The Interahamwe still have their camps and stuff outside of Rwanda, and that's why this Congo conflict is happening. And all these guys are fighting, looking for mineral wealth and fighting with each other, and it's all going to spill over.
Still a lot happening.
Yeah.
One of the biggest culture shocks for me was you go and meet a company that's probably one of the top 5 economy drivers in Kigali, in Rwanda, but the CEO is maybe just slightly older than me. That's because a lot of the adults were wiped out in 1994. So kids like us were forced to grow up. In 1994, your parents are killed. You're taking care of your younger brother. So you'll see these companies all have young CEOs less than 40.
Yeah.
Which was such a big culture shift for me. And then I realized, and then the sudden thing hit me. The other thing was going to the museum. And in the museum, they've curated it's like a semicircle. You walk around, you exit, you start from one point and you exit at the other. And it tells you where they think the history of this violence stemmed from.
The Belgians, from the from all the all the
colonialism, placing you in castes,
divide and rule policy, which was around the world, not just around Africa. Everywhere that the colonial powers went and put their fingers in, became a disaster. From India, Pakistan to, they should have never been a Pakistan.
It should have just been one state. It was one state
to create another country, but again, divide and rule.
Divide and rule. It's the best way to sort of get it.
And again, a lot of African countries should not have been divided the way they were, but it was done by people sitting in Berlin, drawing lines on a map of which they knew nothing about.
Correct.
And so that is, will continue to cause conflict and chaos and bloodshed. But this has always been the case. And unfortunately, as Africans, we have fallen into that same rhythm,
mindset. Yeah, exactly.
And the same mindset, divide and rule. Make sure that, I'm only looking after me, myself, not the greater good. Now, this continent doesn't need anybody else in the world. In fact, we could feed the rest of the world. We could supply the rest of the world with labor. We could supply the rest of the world with minerals and fossil fuels and everything else.
Yeah.
We have everything: food, water, the whole works. But we can't manage it.
Foreign interests divide and rule. That's what it does.
We can't and leaders that unfortunately are just looking out for themselves. Now, Kagame, for me, there's nothing wrong with being a dictator.
Yeah.
If your interests of your country are primary and you've put that in place and you've built, your country into something that the world is proud of and that you're proud of and can be a showcase to what is possible. Nothing wrong with the dictatorship. This idea of democracy is overrated. Well overrated.
True.
Even America itself, the so-called, home of democracy, is not a democracy. It's not one person, one vote. There's electoral college, there's all of this kind of stuff. So democracy is well overrated. Sometimes a dictatorship, or a guy with a big stick is not a bad thing to keep things in line. Right? But when the point of being in power is just to enrich yourself and a few people around you at the expense of the majority of the population, it's scary. Oxfam coming out here and saying just 2 days ago that 125 people in this country control more than 95% of the wealth.
Yeah, this was, I tweeted about this. It was 1%.
If you have 2.5 million shillings of total wealth, assets, whatever, house, car, cash in the bank, whatever. If you have 2.5 million shillings, which is about $18,000, you are in the top 2% in this country, right? So 98% of the people cannot put together $18,000, which is it's an unacceptable statistic. In a country this wealthy, this rich, which has so much going for it,
Yeah.
The fact that there is literally 0.1% of the people that are benefiting for this.
Business Daily posted that what is it? I think majority of the new wealth created within the last decade, is it 40% of the new wealth created in the last decade is owned by the 1%ers in Kenya.
But then, Sajid, the entire world's wealth is controlled by less than 100 families.
BlackRock.
The entire world's wealth.
Are you into conspiracy theories as well?
Is controlled by less, but it's a fact.
Yeah.
These are the people that control. It's literally 100 families.
So BlackRock is one of them, right?
Well, I don't know if it's a family. That's an institution. It's a
but
company.
there's something at the back.
But actual individuals, control. Literally 99%
Rothschilds,
of
stuff
the wealth.
like that. Yeah.
All of these
guys.
All of these families have been around for generations.
Yeah.
But they control that wealth and the land and all of these things.
Yeah.
And, that's the way of the world. It's not just an African problem. But here, the problem is here when you have corruption, where someone steals $1 million, it means that probably 10,000 children will not be fed or will not be able to go to school or will not have medication or will die of malaria or something preventable. If you steal $1 million in New York City, it makes no difference to the poor people. You still get your electricity, you still get your water, you'll still be able to live and carry on with your life. You still have a decent road, you'll still have decent schools, you'll have all of this. So it's a matter of scale. Corruption in America is far bigger than it is here.
Yeah.
The numbers are
proportionally,
we're just tiny here. But the problem is that it affects, when people at the top steal, it affects the people that have the least. And it's always, suffering is always, the people that have the least always suffer the most. That's a story of the world.
So unfortunately, it's the reality we live in, yeah? Okay, so I want to segue now back to you coming back from Kigali. Now you're focusing on the magazine. That's the
Africa Journal, which
Journal,
was the half-hour television program. It was the first half-hour series.
Is there a relation between Africa Journal and A24? Or is A24 became
No, A24 was a company.
Right.
That was a company that we started.
Okay.
Many years ago, and it went horribly wrong.
Okay.
But Africa Journal, we produced Africa Journal under A24 as well.
Okay.
But Africa Journal started in 1993.
So what were you focusing on then specifically?
So it was basically telling positive stories about the continent. It was focusing on, artists and musicians and entrepreneurs, technology, flora for wildlife, all these kinds of things.
Okay.
It was all positive stuff. It was the first time anyone had ever done a magazine show that looked at the positive side of Africa.
Right.
And even in countries of conflict, they focused on positive stories, people helping, using their skills to help their fellow citizens.
Right.
And so that was, to me, show ran for, it was the longest running show in African history. It ran for 35, maybe more, 40 years maybe.
Where were you guys? Was it published?
It was done in partnership with Reuters. So it was distributed across to all of the Reuters clients. So it was seen by, millions of people every week.
Your role in it specifically, were you shooting at the back end?
I was doing production work, I was shooting, I was doing editing.
Okay.
So I was, doing
everything
and anything on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And was it mostly focused on Africa, right?
It was only on Africa.
Yeah. Does that mean you traveled to like a bunch of countries all over?
Different. I mean, it was even North Africa. It wasn't just sub-Saharan Africa.
Okay.
It was also Egypt and Algeria and Tunisia and all these other places.
How many countries have you been to in Africa? Most of them?
I would say no. Most of them. I'd probably say, off the top of my head, maybe about 45.
Jesus.
Yeah, 45 countries, I would think.
I'm gonna make a viral clip. What's your least favorite African country?
I don't have a least favorite. I mean,
Salim, don't bullshit me. Salim, don't lie. Don't lie.
Every one of them has got.
That's such a PR trained answer.
It's honestly, every one of them has. See, it depends what you experience when you go to these countries, right?
Just say Nigeria. We'll agree and move on.
No, Nigeria. I actually enjoy Nigeria.
Okay,
but some places like Somalia, Mogadishu is not sort of the.
Somalia, I heard they have very nice
coffee
and beaches.
Camel's milk.
Camel milk.
Camel
Yeah,
milk.
by the way, CJ
Yeah.
CJ's does cappuccino with
with
camel's
camel
milk.
Yeah,
It's very different
camel
taste.
milk.
But did you ever go to any of the beaches?
Yeah,
Because
yeah. I mean, it's
like
beautiful.
right?
Yeah, I mean, Somalia in the 60s, 70s was unreal. It was a tourist paradise.
What?
Yeah, and we've got photos and stuff of the Mogadishu. You'd never recognize. Beautiful city, absolutely beautiful.
Okay.
Buildings and beaches and hotels and tourists and outdoor cafes. Very Italian. There was a lot of Italian influence in Somalia.
Yes, that's why they eat. That's why they eat spaghetti.
They a lot of spaghetti, a lot of this, coffee, the cappuccino, a lot of pizza.
That makes
So there was a lot of Italian. They were colonized by the Italians.
Because
at one point.
because I'd gone to a Somali restaurant, and first of all, bless Somalis because their portions are more than you need.
Yes,
So
yeah.
you never
Considering they're so thin.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now we ask. There's a mixed platter. There's rice, which is like a pilau. There's spaghetti.
Yeah.
There's different meats, kachumbari, and then bananas. I was like, where the hell did the spaghetti come from? And then I found out, yes,
Yes, it's the Italian influence.
Italians.
Same with Ethiopia. In Ethiopia, they were never colonized, but there was a
the
big
Italian influence.
big Italian influence there. So again, you've got, the lot of good Italian food in Ethiopia.
Have you been to Mozambique?
Yes, I've been to Mozambique.
Okay.
To Maputo only, though. I haven't been to the other areas.
There's apparently, I'm not sure. Actually, Father's played this game called Uncharted 4. There's a scene where where you go and you're finding the treasure, and the blue water. We'll put it up over here, Kim. Apparently, Mozambique has this
Amazing
vast ocean and this coastline that's untapped.
Yeah.
Because you can go. It's like just white sand, but no civilization, right?
Yeah.
And you have the clearest, bluest water where you can literally see fish diving.
Yeah, I mean, Seychelles is the same. Mauritius is a bit more advanced, but some of Seychelles Islands, incredible.
Let me ask you then. Okay, not because you're PR trained.
Yeah.
What's your favorite African country?
I'd have to say home. I mean, here.
Kenya. Okay,
Still,
forget Kenya. Forget
Ethiopia.
Kenya.
I actually really, really enjoy Ethiopia.
Okay.
I love Ethiopia. I love traveling there. I've traveled extensively around the country. It's got so much connection and history to me personally as well.
Okay.
So, through dad and everything.
Yes.
I've always had an affinity for.
I'm not sure if you're into conspiracy theories. This podcast is Red Pill Man Conspiracy. So the Ark of the Covenant apparently
is there. I've seen the church.
No,
I've not seen the Ark itself, but I've been to the church.
Is it true that the pastors who are guarding it have like calluses in their eyes? Sorry,
no,
what do they have? Not calluses.
It's up in it's in a cave. The church is in on a cliff. You can only get up there by whether you have to go on a pulley system. There's no stairs or there's no way to walk up there. It's on the edge of it. It's inside a cliff. And so they have to lower down ropes and a seat and
pick you up
and then take you up. That's the only way you can.
Did you ever go to the top?
Yeah, I've gone into the church. I never saw the Ark itself. I saw where they said the Ark. We've photographed it. We've got pictures of it here.
Salim, you're going to have to share with
me.
Just take notes of it. If you have those photographs, I'm not sure if you have to dig through.
We'll have to see where we can find, but I'm sure we have.
Yeah. So my producer Kim, who forgot to charge the battery, will send notes, but we'll send you that for those pictures.
So we can look for them. But yeah, we have our dad's photographed that.
Okay.
Extensively, and he's photographed all of Ethiopia.
I'd love to spend time. I've been there for layovers.
Yeah.
I've never had the luxury.
No, it's a really beautiful country. Yeah. In general, it's a stunning country.
Yeah. By the way, a lot of Kenyan men are now going to Ethiopia for bachelor parties. So because the wives caught on to Thailand business trips,
so they moved to Ethiopia. They are absolutely stunning. They are stunning people in general, even the men and the women. They're absolutely beautiful people.
It's something to do.
And the fact that they've never been colonized is quite an interesting facet of that.
So I want to move on to Mo and Me.
Yeah.
Right. Obviously, for those who are not aware, Dad Mo Amin passed away, and it was in a hijacking. That moment for you as a family, naturally it's tough, right? But now you're carrying on the legacy of him. What propelled you to create this? And it came out in 2006.
Yes.
It came out to positive critical acclaim. I mean, in fact, you've won awards for it as well, right?
Yes. No, we won about 30 different awards, 30 different festivals.
30 different awards.
Yeah, 30 different festivals. I mean, well, first of all, it was a good coincidence that Al Jazeera was launching their English language channel, so they were looking for a launch documentary that that kind of encompassed their spirit of what Al Jazeera was going to stand for, which was, stories from the South, stories about people that were not mainstream, white correspondents or characters or whatever. And he was the perfect character for that. And so they, without their funding, they funded it, and it was their launch documentary. It was a 7-part series for them. And then we edited a 90-minute documentary, which is what went to the festivals.
Did you have to go to each of these festivals?
I went to many of them, yes, because we were invited.
Did you ever go to Venice Film Festival?
I've been to Venice, I've been to Cannes, I've been to New York, I've been to Los Angeles.
How was Venice?
Amazing.
It's a city literally built on wood.
I've been to Venice a few times, actually, because I go, one of our partners who has a gallery there in Venice, so I've gone to see them.
The city is actually, it's a floating city. Well, not a floating city, but actually...
It's with canals. It's all full of canals.
But there was something about people being chased over, that's how Venice came to be.
I don't know the history. I don't know that much of the history.
I should have done more research on that. But apparently, so there's a particular wood they use that doesn't rot, that basically supports the entire city. And that's how it was built, upon this specific type of wood. I'll find that name, Kim. We can put it up over here.
Yeah, no, I don't know that history.
But did you see, you're in Venice Film Festival, so I'm assuming you're rubbing shoulders with the...
Oh, no, I mean, they do their own thing. We're not of that. Documentary makers are not in the same category as the Hollywood producers. But yeah, I mean, it's just wonderful to be there, to screen, to have people watch your film, appreciate it. So yeah, we went to over 30 festivals in different countries.
How long did that? First of all, maybe it's a 2-part question. How long did it take to make the documentary? And secondly, for the festival, how long was that run? Because you have to promote it quite a lot.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, the documentary took about 3 years to make.
3 years?
Yeah, it was 3 years to make it. And then the festival run was about 1.5 years.
Before you get the award to award season?
No. I mean, just different festivals. And then they announce the awards pretty quickly.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, so obviously that got to a place where everyone now knows more.
Well, I mean, the people that visit, I wouldn't say everyone. You see, it never got a TV release other than Al Jazeera, which at that time had a specific specialized audience.
I think you should get it done for Netflix or something.
So, I mean, the plan is there for a feature film. There's a biopic in the works on his life.
Okay.
So that is the script has been done, and now it's a question of finding the right cast and the rest of that.
So are you looking at doing movies as well?
No, movies is not our thing. We do movies is a whole different
ballgame, right?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't do movies. We stick to what we know.
Okay. You've done the documentary. The other thing that stood out to me was the scoop, man.
Yes, that was a fun time.
That was like a podcast.
Yeah. It was a talk show.
It was a talk show. It was
a talk show,
and you had Jude Law on.
Yes,
you had Akon.
Yeah.
What sort of propelled that? The scoop.
No, I mean, we just thought, look, I enjoy talking to people. I know a lot of people. So we decided that, this is a good time to maybe put that on camera and see what we can do. And we thought maybe it'll go for 1 or 2 seasons. It ended up being 13 seasons, 150 odd interviews. And so it just kept going. We kept finding more and more interesting people.
What was your prep work like before meeting a guest?
We'd have to do a fair bit of research on them.
Yeah.
Fortunately, like I said, a lot of the people that I interviewed I knew from before, so I knew stuff about them.
Right.
So it made it easier to actually, interview them, and many of them were friends of mine as well. So it was again more comfortable for them.
Did you ever have any moment where, like, pinch yourself kind of moment with a guest sitting opposite you?
That's a good question. I can't remember. It's been so long since I've done the shows, but they were very interesting insights. I mean, I asked people, what's your scoop?
Yeah.
So every one of those people that answered was something I'd never heard before.
Jude Law was quite surprising as well. You were telling me actually before we started, Akon and Jude Law were actually in Kenya.
No, not Kenya. It was in Goma.
Oh, in Goma. Okay, in
yeah.
Rwanda.
Or in DRC.
And so
in DRC, yeah.
What was going on there?
There was the World Peace Day, so they had come to celebrate World Peace Day. There was a concert and an event that was being hosted in Goma because of the history of the place, and so they were there. And the people that do that, the people that run World Peace Day, or the person that runs World Peace Day, is a friend of mine.
Okay.
And so we just started the show, and so we said, look, we'd like to come and. We'd like to come and be there, and then we got all these people there, and we got sort of 7 or 8 episodes out of that event.
That's fantastic.
And being there with them, and we got Sauti Soul here. We got lots of interesting people.
That was my first exposure to you, and I'm not sure if you remember this. It just came to me. I met you here the first time in your office.
When was that?
2016.
Wow,
so
10 years ago.
I'll give you a bit of context. I was finishing up my master's, and I was looking at starting a podcast / YouTube channel / social media page.
Okay.
So I'm asking my uncle Riaz, this is what I want to do. Do you know anyone? He's like, I know Salim Amin. Check him out. He does this thing called The Scoop. I'll organize a meeting for you.
I was already very good friends with Riaz by that time.
So Riaz gave me your number.
Yeah.
I came here, and I had my first meeting the day after I landed with Salim. And we were talking about social media.
You got a good memory, Sajid.
Actually,
You got a good memory.
And I took a picture of Dad's. I have to find that photo.
He's got a good memory, huh?
Do you remember that?
I don't, to be honest. So obviously you
Clearly,
didn't leave much of an impression. You didn't leave much of an impression on me. I don't remember, but that's not unusual because 10 years ago, I don't remember what I did last week.
Because
I saw Fahad before lunch. I still don't remember seeing it.
So I remember I don't have that picture, but it was me, Anik, and Vayani, and you. We took a picture together, and basically
I don't even remember the names. Who is Anik and who's?
These were just friends of mine that I wanted to do the business with. And what we were talking.
So you were talking about podcasts even back then, huh?
Yeah, and what I wanted to get
you 10 years to get here.
Can you believe that? And we're still having memory card issues.
You still haven't got it right.
So you were sitting there. 3 of us were sitting here. You were very eager on looking at the social media, Instagram stuff. You said podcasts, you were not too familiar with it. And we had to put a business plan together and come to you and say what the podcast would be like. So we did a trial that we showed you. Unfortunately, 3 of us broke up over there, so that podcast didn't go anywhere.
Now I remember.
You remember
because
that?
We were at A24. It was
yes,
then.
A24. Yes, and digitizing and everything.
Yes.
And then
I remember now. Yes.
And then I started working for this company called Icolo Data Centers, and you were trying to see whether you digitize on a data center in a cloud. That just occurred to me. This is where we actually
right. We've had this conversation.
This is like a full circle move because now we're having the podcast over here.
Now you have a podcast
with you.
And
we were talking about
fortunate enough to be a guest.
Oh man!
So there you go. So
I'm going to try.
It didn't turn out so well for me because obviously I never made a podcast.
But I think with the work you're doing, for you, a natural extension would definitely be going into the podcast scene. Do you think you'd ever be up to it?
Look, I would love to do a podcast, but the thing about, as you know, doing a podcast is you need a team, you need research.
Yeah.
You need to have time to do research, whether as a host or have a producer that does the research for you.
Okay.
And it's not easy to do that. And in order to, because I'm doing so many different things, it's difficult to find the time. That's my only restriction. So if someone said to me, listen, here's the studio, and I had this conversation in Ethiopia a week ago with a new channel that started up there called Pulse of Africa. And I had this conversation and they said, would you consider restarting The Scoop and doing it as a TV show? But then nowadays you don't just do it on one platform.
You do it on
everything, right? But recording it. So I said, look, I'm very happy to do it, but the condition has to be, I can come to Ethiopia for 3 or 4 days a month.
Yes.
And I can do 5 interviews a day. just change my shirt, my jacket, and whatever. 5 interviews a day.
5 interviews a day. We've heard Kim.
I mean, that's what we used to do on the scoop. Sometimes we would do 3-4 interviews a day, and I would just change my clothes and change the set a bit.
Okay.
And then we would do that. So I said I can do 5 a day. So I can give you, in 3 days, I can give you an entire season, 15 episodes. You can do that once a month, but you have to find the guests.
Yes.
And you have to do the research. And they've got studios and everything all set up.
Right.
So I said, I'll just come, I'll sit, we'll talk, and we'll do a great show. And then, we'll do the post, we'll bring the content back and do the post-production here.
Okay.
So let's see if that ever happens. But if someone gave me that option here to say, listen, we've got the setup. All you need to do is show up, right? And do what you like doing. And I'd be very happy to do that.
Okay.
Because I know I'm a good interviewer. I know that.
Yeah, I think you're brilliant.
I know my stuff. I know how to deal with it. I mean, for 3 years that we were working on the Uhuru Gardens museum project.
Yes.
The people that I interviewed nobody's ever interviewed them.
Okay.
And from generals that are still alive from independence in the military. KDF doesn't allow you to do interviews, but because they're in charge of this project and there's a whole military gallery in the museum, they wanted these generals' stories for posterity.
How's that been for you? Because you on the Uhuru Gardens project, you worked quite a lot by providing a lot of the pictures, and
we did a lot of the content. We provided a lot of the content. We provided, and the arrangement we had with the KDF was that all the images and archive that we provide would be our contribution to the museum. So we would not charge for any of that. And there's millions of dollars worth of content in there. But they would, but we would make the films that are in each gallery. Every gallery has 3 to 4 films in the museum. So, we were making all the films, thus doing all the interviews for those short 2, 3, 4 minute films so that people can, you walk into a sound cone and you can watch the thing. Nobody else is disturbed by the audio. Only you can hear the audio. The technology in it was mind-blowing. And it was probably the finest project we've ever worked on. And it was just an incredible project. And it's a beautiful, stunning museum that's, construction is 85% complete. Artifacts, galleries is about 45% complete. And sadly, it's never been opened. So now we hope that it will be at some point. Obviously, it wasn't a priority.
Yeah, that's unfortunate because it was a previous regime where this was being done, and then obviously there's a change, and maybe
although the point was that this was a museum about Kenya's history, it's nothing to do with individuals or personalities, or or previous president. Every president has a gallery in that museum, right? From Kenyatta, Jomo Kenyatta has a presidential library there, and
these are all pictures you guys have provided.
We provided a lot of the content because we had it.
Yeah.
And then Moi has a gallery, Kibaki has a gallery, Uhuru will have a gallery, Ruto will have his own gallery, and future presidents will all have it. So, it will open at some point. The question is when, and it's a museum unlike anything else in sub-Saharan Africa. The only comparison is the sort of Grand Museum of Egypt. But it's 70 acres. It's
massive. I think we went to that one.
It's massive. But this museum is 70 acres.
70 acres.
It takes you 2 days just to walk through the place. There's so many things to see there. Yeah, it's stunning. It's absolutely stunning. There's space for 7 restaurants. There is trains. Entire trains are there with the carriages, with the original tracks. With the station,
So this is that building that's
as you see
on your way to Langata Road. On the
Langata
left.
Road, you can't miss it. It's a massive, great building at Uhuru Gardens, and
they should do that. That's something that we should be proud of and push
100%.
forward.
I mean, it is, I think, one of the finest projects. Yes, people have built roads and railways and this, but this is the history of this country. And if you want young people to understand the history of their country, then this is the place to go. And that was the point of it.
I mean,
the point of it was that young people go in, and there's it's warts and all. It's very open about the Mau Mau, about the struggles, about all of the things that happen about, political assassinations in the country.
Really?
Tom
So it's like the
Mboya,
full.
J.M. Curry. It's a full history of the country. It's mind blowing, because the idea was that, young people go in there and they would be so curious that they would finish the museum and go and Google more about the history. Who was Dedan Kimathi? Who was Tom Mboya? Who was J.M. Kariuki? Who was Robert Auko? Who are these people that we just, have roads named after them and whatever, but nobody really knows who they are.
Yeah.
Owings, Kodak. I mean, it's really it's fascinating. It was such an amazing project.
I didn't know it was that extensive.
Oh, it's mind blowing. And there's galleries, not just politics and history, but also sport and art and journalism and music, and it just looks at the history. Them mushrooms and all of these.
Them mushrooms
Joginder Singh, and Shekhar Mehta and all the great athletes, Kip Keino, all of them. They're all in this museum.
Them Mushrooms was a Kenyan band,
It was
right?
a Kenyan band, yes. Still around.
We'll put them up over here.
Yeah.
Which was a song of this that was really popular?
There was many. There were quite a few songs that
we can't play it over here. Obviously, we'll get copyrighted. But okay. So maybe that's, if someone's watching, you guys that are interested, guys, let's go and make noise about this, because I'd personally love to have somewhere.
I mean, every tourist will go to this museum.
100%.
And probably
100%.
every Kenyan will go. And it's built and designed in such a way that you actually don't have to go into the museum, pay your 200 bob or whatever to get in. If you don't want to, you can actually go and enjoy the grounds.
Because it's massive.
Yes, you can go and enjoy the grounds. You can go and do all sorts of activities there. They've designed it in such a way that it's a public space for people, as well as being a museum and a memorial site. I mean, it is holy ground for this country. It's where our flag was raised for the first time, in 1963. It really is holy ground.
That's amazing. And thank you for giving me that insight. I didn't know the breadth of the project. Since it's that wide, that actually appeals to me, because there's a lot of gaps in my history knowledge, especially of Kenya. So to spend a day there, get acclimated to whatever Kenya has to say, that would be fantastic, man.
Yeah, I mean, I thought I knew Kenyan history before we started this project. I had no idea.
So maybe one last thing as we start winding things down on the podcast.
Yeah.
Here's my suggestion to you, right? Because you have such a breadth of knowledge. I mean, these two are listening to you. They're interested because you've got life experience, and these are so many stories. Once every now and then, why don't you come on Coffee Pump and we'll just chat about random things or whatever's happening.
Happy to be on. You tell me when you're ready or when you want me. I'll be happy
we
to
talk.
be.
Don't you think so? And then eventually people will be like, Salim, get your own fucking podcast.
Yeah.
And then
you can come on my show.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We would Jude Law.
Yeah. So we can do that.
So Salim, now my younger brother Fahad seems to be spending a lot of time with you.
Yes. Fahad's been fantastic.
What are you guys working on exactly?
Well, we just launched a new film called Stand Together as One, a new documentary, which is on the 40th, commemorating the 40th anniversary of the famine in Ethiopia and Live Aid, 40 years of Live Aid and Band Aid and We Are the World. So we just launched that film globally. And it's doing the festival rounds now again in the US.
Really?
And in Europe. And we decided we would do screenings here. And use the film because of the message of the film about humanity, about helping people, would use the film to raise money to feed school children in Kenya. Because there is a problem on that. It's 10 shillings a child. And, the majority of kids don't even have that 10 shillings to have a meal every day. So we figured let's use the film as a platform in order to bring people together. And then we do an exhibition with the film of some of Dad's iconic images, not of war and famine and stuff like that, but images that people might be interested in buying of people and wildlife and beauty and things like that.
To raise
Safari
again
rally.
to charity.
And so then, people auction for those, do a silent auction for the images when they come for the screening. And then we've just launched a line of merchandise as well, again with iconic Mohamed Amin images on them. And so we're selling that, T-shirts, mugs, water bottles, journals.
I'm happy, and he's getting a lot of exposure as
And
well. So I appreciate.
Father's been helping us putting together, being there, guiding people.
He's not
through
busy
the
flirting with
auction,
aunties and stuff.
and I'm sure he's doing that maybe on the side. But he's been he's been great, and just everyone's just volunteering their time, which is really good.
When's the next one?
Hopefully, we just confirmed that today. Alchemist on the 18th of December.
Okay.
We're doing an event at Alchemist, a screening, the exhibition.
It's going to be in the evening?
At night, yes. And it's going to coincide with I think they have these theme nights. There's this DJ called Suvraj.
Yes.
Yeah, who does these Latin kind of inspired fusion music. So it's in combination with them. So they're going to do a club night afterwards.
So why don't you share with me details on this? We'll put it in the description as well. We'll forward it to Kim to put it up over here so people can sign up as well.
We should be preparing the poster to go out by Monday.
Awesome.
Because
share it with me, bro. I'll put it up on the podcast.
We need people to start coming and buying tickets.
Yeah. Anything else you're working on?
The archives. That's really is a lot of our focus is getting the archive digitized, preserving it, and then utilizing it for educational purposes. Try and get it into schools. Create curriculum. So the archive is a big thing that we want to do. Yeah.
Do you think you'll be done anytime soon with all the photos, or do you think it's something
the digitization is something, unless we get help on it, which we're looking for, we get partners who can mass digitize. We just don't have the resources to do it faster than we're doing it at the moment. And so
you're doing it through your is it through A24 or Camerapix?
No, A24 ended a long time ago. A24 doesn't exist anymore. So it's just through the foundation. It's part of the foundation.
Camerapix
is the production company. Yeah, it's all very intertwined.
Perfect. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll put up the stuff over there. Any future projects? You're on Instagram as well, right?
Yes.
And we'll put up your details. And before we close out, bro, I just want to spend a bit of time in this fucking room. I want to start there. You're a comic book guy.
Yeah, I love comic books.
No way.
Always have collected from when I was a kid.
Really?
Yeah.
Favorite superhero? And don't be politics like saying favorite.
No, different ones. Marvel, probably Spider-Man.
Yeah.
DC, Superman, I would think, or Batman. Between the two of them, world's finest. I like the Justice League. I like the Avengers. I like the sort of team ups.
Are those all comic books over there?
They're all comic books. Yeah. Now I collect, instead of collecting weekly comic books, I do the novels, graphic novels.
So where do you buy them from?
Whenever I travel,
you just go to a comic book store,
places like that.
And are you up to date with the movies as well?
Yes, all the movies been watch all of the Marvel. I've kind of got a bit cold feet on them. Let's see what they come up with next, bro. But the last few have not been great.
They've been horrible.
Since Endgame, it's not been as good. But some of the series like Daredevil, and some of those have been really good.
So you're telling me you went in theater to watch Endgame and all the movies before?
Yes, everyone, and especially me and our older daughter. So she loves Marvel and.
Okay, have you watched? What's your favorite Marvel movie in before Endgame?
Wow, it's a tough one because they did some really good movies, and what is fascinating for me, is how this storyline developed over 13, 14 years from the sort of first Iron Man.
Yes.
And then going
to
how they built it and putting all together. That to me I think that was magnificent storytelling.
Lightning in a bottle.
It's magnificent. I'm not sure they can replicate that again. But it really worked, and to have the same characters, for that long a period of time was quite unique, I think. And I don't think we'll ever see a franchise like that again.
So here are my contenders for the top 3 movies, in no particular order. All right. I think, Fahad, you can guess one of them.
Captain America Winter Soldier.
Thank you. Captain America Winter Soldier. Because before that, Captain America was just a guy hitting people with a sufria. But then what Winter Soldier did was put him in the real modern world. If there was a superhero that was part of a military organization, how the fuck would he look?
Yeah.
And just that opening sequence. Yeah. The guy jumps from a plane without a parachute. Yeah. Takes out an entire ship. That, I think him and I watched it maybe 3 times in the theater. That for me still is number 1, that elevator scene. Kim, we can put it up over here where he just kicks the shit out of everyone. Original movie, Iron Man. Yeah. Iron Man, the first one
was fantastic.
Fantastic. Yeah. I think that started off everything. Then the last one is Thor, Ragnarok. Okay. Because Ragnarok, I think those 3 movies for me are tier 1, and then everything else.
See, I thought Endgame was one of the finest.
Yeah.
Because of how they brought everybody together.
That's true.
And the first Black Panther was
Yeah.
incredible. I thought
Black
Black Panther was incredible.
Black Panther was nice.
It's just a real shame about Chadwick.
Now people will comment Sajid is racist. He didn't put Black Panther.
Yeah. No, Black Panther for me was one of because it's a tough one to make.
Yeah.
And
But the way they did it, the African, the Wakanda,
it's just incredible. And that ironically, the Wakanda, this was our civilization. Was that?
That's that.
We,
correct.
We're the birthplace of human beings.
Correct.
And that is how we had these civilizations. I mean, in ancient Ethiopia and places like that, this was how incredible it was.
I love the fact that you're a comic book nerd. So I'm just making my way over there. What that picture, does it have any particular?
Not really. That was given to me as a birthday present.
These statues, are these Chinese?
These are samurai.
Japanese,
right?
Japanese samurais.
Yeah.
I think we also
that eagle belonged to Idi Amin. That was in Idi Amin's living room.
That eagle.
The eagle.
Kim, so you're going to have to do a B-roll of the entire room.
So that
the comic books Fahad will guide you. That eagle in particular, Idi Amin.
So that was in his living room. So when Dad went in with the Tanzanian military, when they overthrew Idi, they said, you help yourself to whatever you want. So he took all the files from the State Research Bureau. He took, Idi's medals, whatever we have that.
Those are Idi Amin's medals at the back as well.
Epaulets as well. And then this was there, so he liked that. He helped himself to that as well.
And then, okay, so Idi Amin's medal, we'll put that up on that side at the back over there. I've seen Dad's Seiko.
Yes, that was the watch that he had. Somehow it survived when he lost his arm.
Japanese technology, guys. Yeah, thank you. So moving on over here, these are all the records.
These are all the awards,
What is that, the disc, the disc with the pink...
the silver one? That's to commemorate the sale of the platinum record for sale of 3 million copies of We Are the World.
Wow.
So they
That's
presented
insane.
that to him.
Last item. You have fucking Musashi's sword, bro.
Yes, Musashi sword.
For those of you guys that don't know who Musashi is, there's a book that I encourage you to read. It's a famous Japanese warrior. It's 7 books, right? It took me a shit long time to get through it, but brilliant book. That's his actual sword.
No, I don't think it's his actual one. I think
it's a, huh? I think there must be an anime about it, 100%. But so there's a story about Musashi that's quite popular, about how he, towards the end, was pit against another strong warrior. And this was a samurai that everyone was scared of. Now, they agreed to meet at a particular location for the battle. So that competitor said, we'll meet at a certain time. I think it was sunrise. And normally in Japanese tradition, they're very disciplined. Samurais are even more so disciplined. So the warrior gets there and he noticed Musashi is not there. He waits 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And there's a crowd also. Like, why is Musashi getting so delayed? This is disrespectful. So the guy starts pacing up and down. And I think it's an hour goes by. He's like, he's a coward. He hasn't yet come. 2 hours. And then eventually you see Musashi coming on a boat rowing over there. And this guy is just so angry. He's pacing about. He's like, I'm going to kill this guy. Musashi and him start squaring up. They come. This guy is running and he's angry towards him and he's abusing him and he's insulting him. And in one swing, Musashi kills him. Because Musashi knew he was a good sword fighter, but...
Because he got him mad.
He got him mad.
Yeah.
He purposely came late to the battle to fuck with him.
Yeah.
So he got all his emotions and he killed the guy, went on the boat and went back. Dude, that was just such an epic conclusion to that. I highly recommend reading the book. But Salim, thank you so much. This has been brilliant, man. We apologize for the delay.
No, it's absolutely fine. It was really good fun.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I enjoyed it.
So we'll plan a lot more.
I look forward to them.
But where can people find you if they want to shout out?
Instagram. Yeah.
We'll put all your details over here.
Yeah, Instagram, X, LinkedIn. I'm in all of those
Awesome.
platforms.
We'll put everything in the description. Guys, this has been Coffee Pump. We'll catch you on the next episode. Awesome.